I'd like to call this meeting to order. Let's see. We will have Pastor Allison Farah come give us our invocation. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
May we pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings that you give to us each and every day. On beautiful days like this, we're reminded that you make all things beautiful in its time. We thank you, Lord, for those who lead and those who serve so faithfully, and we thank you for this great city of Hamlet. I pray that you would be with our city council members and all those who govern and take care of this city, that you would lead, guide, and direct them, that others will see in us a beacon of light and be reminded of your goodness. So guide this time of meeting tonight and keep us in your way. We pray in the name of Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 3, adoption of agenda. Do I have a motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item number 4, approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, do we have any comments from attendees tonight? All right, moving on to new business. Planning board applications. We have one vacant within the city limits. Are you supposed to be doing this?
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
read
go
it
ahead,
for you.
sorry.
No, you're fine. So we discussed it last month. We've got 2 vacancies within the city limits and 1 in the ETJ. One of those is a regular member seat in the city limits. The other 2 are both alternates. So the ETJ seat is an alternate. All the applications should be before you, and they should be labeled ETJ or city limits. So we're just looking for 3 of those total.
All right, do I have any nominations?
Yeah.
Regular member.
I second it.
Okay. Other nominations? This is the way she told me to do it. Okay. So for that one, right?
For right now, yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. What about,
ETJ.
well, we need another city.
Oh, let's see, alternate.
I'll make a nomination on that. We nominate Ms. Brigman, Johnny Brigman,
Okay,
for that position, alternate.
all right. Any other nominations? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now the ETJ.
Second.
All right, any other nominations? All right, all in favor? Any opposed? All right. Number 7, the appointment of the Hamlet Depot and Museum Board member.
Yeah, the Hamlet Depot Museum Board met last month, and they nominated Nancy Averett to join their board pending council approval, so we're just looking for your vote on that.
I recommend Nancy Averett to fill that position.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The reappointment to the Hamlet Housing Board, Calvin White's position has expired, and so that is my appointment that I will nominate him and reappoint him. There you go. Item number 9, proposal for donation of enclosed trailer to NC Search and Rescue Advisory Council.
Thank you for this time, Madam Mayor and council members. This is a proposal of donation for the enclosed trailer to the North Carolina Search and Rescue Advisory Council. The Hamlet Senior Center requests approval from the City Council to donate the enclosed trailer to the North Carolina Search and Rescue Advisory Council Community Partnership. This donation aligns with our mission to support safety, emergency preparedness, and aging well. It will enhance search and rescue efforts across North Carolina, particularly for individuals with dementia and other vulnerable populations. We are very well of the growing needs for search and rescue resources, as we have recently had missing elderly here in Richmond County. This also donation aligns with the efforts of Richmond County Aging Services for the silver alerts with the elderly population. And so the NCSAR-AC provides trained search and rescue teams for missing persons, which does include seniors living with Alzheimer's or dementia, individuals with autism or mental health conditions and diagnosis, lost hikers, hunters, boaters, and more. It covers a wide variety, but it especially speaks to the Hamlet Senior Center's already partnership with the Alzheimer's Association to educate and to help our community and caregivers that are affected by the diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia. Why donate the trailer? Enhance emergency response, strengthen partnerships, address a growing crisis, maximize resources, and this is at no cost to the city. Donations of personal property to other governmental units are listed in the pamphlet that you have been given, and it is allowed. And so we do ask for this donation so that, one, we can enhance a needed service, enhance a partnership that is already there, and to also show our community that we do care and we want to help not just our county, but the surrounding counties of North Carolina by allowing this donation of the said trailer.
So they are located here in Richmond County?
I have a gentleman here that would have more information on that. I know this is a local chapter, yes.
Is this a donation of a trailer that the city owns?
It is listed as a senior center trailer. It was a small, very small trailer. Most might call it a little cargo trailer or a motorcycle-sized trailer. It has not been used in multiple years. There is some light damage to the trailer. We have no need of a trailer like that, and I feel like it would be serving a better purpose in its new home if you guys would grant that.
I think that's a very good idea.
And it hadn't been used in years, and
It was originally used for two different purposes. When there was an original handyman, I think they would make Sam's Club pickups and also would use it as a luggage hauler when they would go on their overnight trips, which we now have things shipped to us. It's very easy and no more overnight trips.
but you, as the director of the Senior Citizen Building Center, you recommend that the city donate this trailer.
I do recommend that, sir.
Is a motion in order?
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion that the city donate the trailer that she's referring to from the Senior Citizen Building to the North Carolina Rescue.
I'll make a second.
Tony has a question.
Yeah, how did you go about choosing them?
Actually, I was reached out to by a member of our Hamlet Fire Department who has a passion for this program and also search and rescue, and their desire to expand being able to offer resources such as the home alarms and things like that, and to be able to go out and further their community impact. And because we do not use this trailer, we have no way to even haul it at this point. We wanted to make a better use, and that's what Hamlet, I've heard you guys state, let's make the best use of the resources we have, place them where they need to be placed, and this trailer would best serve as their resource for them.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
ma'am.
Amanda. All right, item number 11, City Lake Trail Project Update. Oh, I did. Number 10, request for upset bid process of 64.99 acres of city property.
So the city was approached by a party interested in purchasing 2 adjoining parcels of city property totaling 64.99 acres. This is located across from the industrial park off of Sherrill Road. It's in our ETJ, but we would be able to voluntarily annex that. The parcels are split zoned right now. They're split between I-1, which is light industrial, and then I-2, which is heavy industrial. So if the city chose to move forward and to act on the interest in the property, we'd have to follow this upset bidding process. Upset bidding process, excuse me. The initial bid would be presented to the city council for review and their approval, and then if you were to accept it, that would be then subjected to a 10-day public advertisement in the local paper. From there, each upset bid would have to raise the original bid by 10%, and this could continue as long as it continued to be raised by 10%. And then the council would have the right to reject any and all bids at any time throughout this process as well.
All right, any questions?
Not to my knowledge.
They had a for sale sign out there since Moses was a baby. Yeah, out there across from.
There's a property adjoining this one that is currently for sale, and I believe is, they're also interested in that. They're also interested in that parcel.
Have they given you any price? I mean, so we.
No, not at this point, Mayor Pro Tem. Currently, we're just wanting to see if council would be willing to take an offer from it, because I don't want them to go through the legwork and put in an official offer if council has no interest in selling the property.
Anything being done there now?
Not currently.
Nothing
Put the
at all?
map back up there, please.
I just add that if you all were to be willing to accept an offer, that offer would have to come back to council, and you would say, you would make a motion to accept that offer and go into the actual upset bid process. Then it gets advertised, stands for 10 days, and somebody else has the opportunity to come and bid on that land as well.
I just thought when you said the upset bid process, it made me believe there had been a bid. I mean, we obviously have to put it out to bid first.
Right.
Okay. What surrounds this property? What's on either side of it and behind it? I can't tell much from.
It's right beside the nursing home, correct?
Yes. It's behind it.
Yes.
And what's behind it?
Nothing. The railroad, swamp. It's right across from Georgia Pacific.
Is it to the benefit of the city to sell it?
Yeah.
So our part's 64 acres?
Let me answer Councilmember Martin's question. I think that when it comes to this parcel and it being sold, along with the other 40 acres that is industrial property that they're in the process of purchasing, with the ideal that they have of putting flex distribution onto the property. Now, I can't guarantee you that that's what they would do to it, but when it comes to economic development and industrial economic development specifically, I think it comes at a great profit to the city.
So are you saying that there's a prospect or somebody wanting to buy it for the purpose of putting something there?
Yes,
Not just buying it and let it sit there or sell it or resell it, or?
that's correct, council member.
And they are interested in the adjoining property that is currently for sale, actively for sale.
Correct. They are actually in the process of buying the 40 acres that sits right across the street from Global Packaging. But they're wanting about 100 acres to maximize their potential with what they're wanting to build.
When you said a flex distribution facility, what is that?
Distribution is typically logistics. You know, you have warehouses out there that stock certain kind of items. Specifically with this one, they're wanting to put a lot of green energy and green technology out there that would then be distributed across the country.
You know, well, I had originally, somebody had looked at it several years ago for that, and that's the reason I was wondering if it's the same people.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
Is this something we want to sell? I think the prospect of industrial development is certainly worth, I don't think we need to turn a blind eye, or they are purchasing 40 acres that adjoin it, but I do think we need to go into the bid process for it.
What's the motion for, just to accept the bids?
Just
No,
go into the bid.
Begin the process.
It's to begin the process, because I wanted to ensure that the city would first entertain an offer before we put the potential buyer into a position where they do a lot of legwork without knowing that the city would be interested in a bid on it.
Stuart, really, you're just being asked, does council want to entertain selling the property? As Mr. Terzu said earlier, they make an offer, they come back to you all, you're free to accept or deny it, and if you accept it, that's how the process starts.
I make a motion to accept an initial bid for the parcels. That property's been vacant for at least 45 years.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
'Cause that's where I live, but,
Yes, exactly right.
yeah, that's the Moses situation. Yeah, baby Moses.
That's exactly right, brother.
That's where he came down the river.
That's right, down March Creek.
Right.
Item number 12, potential lease of Lakeside Venue discussion. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. How many do you want to do this? Oh, Lord. Okay. Item number 11, City Lake Trail Project update.
So I've been speaking with
Trying to be careful.
with LKC, and the bin where we had a $400,000 grant from the Department of Commerce, which was the ARPA funds, and the current status of the plans for that trail and the extension for it. I wanted to bring this to council so they understood where we were at and understand the cost of potentially moving forward and then coming up with potential alternatives in the future. So we've gotten the $400,000 grant. We've already used a little over $180,000 of that when we purchased the VFW building. That other $219,000 is going to be expended towards the engineering of that lake trail, which is currently going on right now. And if there's any left over, it could go to into actually developing the trail. But we've come up with, working with LKC again and understanding that they created the design, and I've asked them, well, how much would this project actually cost to complete? It was great to be able to use a grant to develop it, but what's the cost of actually doing business? And they've come up with a budget that essentially says it would cost around $1.5 million to complete that trail. The biggest portion of that trail when it comes to cost is the expansion that goes over the wetlands, because they have to build a bridge over it, which is a
Didn't we
boardwalk.
say we weren't doing that part? Am I remembering that wrong? Because of the expense in the swamp? No. Am I the only
I
one?
wasn't on
Am I-
council, I'm sorry.
Am I the only one who thinks that? Well, I wasn't either. I just remember that part.
So this came to a shock as me as well, because I know the cost of doing business when it comes to these things. So when I pulled up the plans and I looked at them, I think I looked at the assistant city manager and was like, this is a $1.5 million to $2 million project. Does council know this? And that's where we decided to bring it to council and just kind of update you on it. So, we do have options. If council decided to continue with the project, we could do the project through a loan. We could phase out the project. We could also apply for a Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant. Those do match dollar for dollar if we were to get awarded it. So instead of being $1.5 million, it costs the city about $750,000.
We can't use what we've already spent as match.
I'm sorry.
We can't use what we've already spent as match.
The other thing that I've thought about is reducing the scope of work, because currently the scope of work includes asphalt all across the asphalting the entire trail, which comes at a pretty high cost as well. So we could reduce that and go to either gravel, which I'm personally not a fan of, because I do like to be out on the trails, and gravel hurts your feet. But hard packed dirt is a good alternative. There's a trail that I use frequently out of Whispering Pines around there. Reservoir, that's great. It's all hard packed dirt, and that would again reduce the cost. Another alternative is going from a 10-foot path to maybe even down to a 8.6 or 4-foot wide path, and then turning it into walking only and restrict bikes from being on it. I think the reason it's so wide is they wanted to have there was thought that they wanted to be able to ride bikes on it as well.
Have you been over to Henson Park, Henson Lake?
I have not.
They have gravel, and it's not big gravel.
Like the pea gravel.
It's something different, but it's packed hard, and they can ride bikes on it. You can walk on it. I mean, it's
Like
a lot of
crushing room?
stuff.
It's walking gravel, Tony,
Yeah.
walking gravel.
I don't know what it is, but you can walk on it.
What I want to also show you is we have the item descriptions for the probable cost, and again, this is just in theory. It's not an actual final itemized cost for the park, but where you see the most cost coming in at is a 10-foot wide boardwalk, which is half the cost of the project. So building that boardwalk through the wetlands is where the largest portion of this project is coming in cost.
So you're saying if we change the walk construction, we can change the cost of construction substantially?
From my understanding, due to the wetlands that are there, that is the route that we would have to take. So there could be options where we didn't have it be a full loop,
Yeah,
which
that's
would
what I was
cut the
thinking.
cost
Right.
in half. However, there are other options that we can look at when it comes to, we could even phase it out over time. Maybe over a
do it
couple of
in
years, do the
pieces.
boardwalk, over a couple of years, do the
Right.
remaining portions of it.
What is this, how big are those park grants? What can you get in terms of
Parks and
those?
Recreation Trust
Yeah.
Fund matches dollar for dollar. I don't know up to how much, but I have friends that have used them that they've funded pretty large amounts. But once you use a Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant, it almost becomes protected land by the state, and if there's other federal grants that can be added to it, to where it makes it very hard to do anything within what was constructed in that grant process. It becomes protected.
That sounds like it's cumbersome.
So, with that being said, I just wanted to have a discussion, questions, and kind of, I don't need a motion, but I wanted to get the atmospherics from council and I want to understand what your all's thoughts are on this.
Well, all things being equal, I think it'd be a wonderful thing to be able to construct and everything else. But at this point in time, with us facing, major renovations at the water plant and a new sewer plant to increase capacity, and that's obviously going to be a loan also. A loan for a walking trail to me is hard to deal with at $1.5 million. I would like personally to know what the projected cost of some of the alternatives were. Could we do a smaller walkway? Could we use something other than asphalt? And how is that going to affect cost? And, see what our options are to go full scope with some amendments, or either to not take the bridge across the lake or whatever. My feeling is the scope of this project is too big for the city right now. I don't know if anybody else agrees. I think it would be wonderful. I think we got a lot on our plate. A lot.
Well, I agree with Ms. Covington. It'd be so expensive to run a trail all the way across the lake. It'd be mighty expensive. We got so many other things that's coming up that we need to do, got to do.
Now, I agree with you and Ms. Covington. We got more pressing and critical things to do, even though the trail would be wonderful, but we've got other more critical needs right now than $1.5 million plus, because when you get into it, it's going to overrun $1.5 million. It always goes up. So that we just don't need a walking trail right now. Maybe need it, but we just can't afford it.
Anybody else?
I echo everybody's comments. I agree. Wonderful thing, and then we could look at some other options too. I get a chance, we'll ride over to Henson Lake and let you look at that, what they have over there. Cause asphalt, asphalt's nice, but that's a lot of money.
Well, that trail that we have now is not up, is very bad shape. I went down there a week ago, and I used to walk it very much from the Senior Citizen Building to the American Legion, and it's just run down, pavement's coming up, limbs everywhere. It's not fit, almost not fit to even walk on.
I echo everything. I would welcome just the prices of some other alternatives. Yeah. But absolutely.
We're not keeping up what we got.
I will then go back with LKC and I'll look at alternative ways to reduce costs and then and scope and bring it back to council for discussion again.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, item number 12. Potential lease of lakeside venue discussion.
Are you sure?
I looked at Tony, he said, okay.
Okay.
I've had a gentleman that has met me at the old VFW Lakeside venue that we had over the last couple months. He's visited a couple times, and he is very interested in negotiating a lease to that venue to become a nice restaurant. He is currently a restaurant owner out of Aberdeen, North Carolina. Very sought out after restaurant. I think one of our council members recently visited as well. Met the owner as well. With that being said, and we do have it as a venue space, but it's just not being rented out. We also don't have a lot of restaurants here in Aberdeen or in Hamlet, and we have this potential restaurant from Aberdeen, you know, that ideal coming into Hamlet, I just think it might be a good option, that we do go forward and negotiate a lease with him, and looking for council's atmospherics on that as well.
Would we have to do anything to the building, or is it ready?
He did have one question when he loved it, and he said that he wanted to close off part of the banquet area for now because it's too big in its current state, and wanted to mainly use the bar area, about a third of the banquet area, and then the outside portions for, you know, for obvious reasons. And one thing that was brought up when we were talking is the city had closed up bricked in some windows that were on the backside. It may have been done before the city did it.
City didn't do it.
And he asked, would the city be willing to open these back up? But again, I think this all comes into negotiation of lease, right? And there would be a lot of that between TC, myself, and the restaurant owner and his attorney. And once we got to a place where we thought that it would be well accepted by council, then we would bring it back to council for a vote.
I was asking about kitchen equipment, if he was gonna lease it for a restaurant. Is the kitchen sufficiently equipped?
It is.
Because that would be a major investment for
It
the
is,
city.
and what it doesn't have, he would be, he's got a very successful restaurant already that he completely outfitted himself, and I think he's kind of outgrown the restaurant as well. And in Aberdeen, it's really nice, but it's a very small venue, and he's looking for some growth. And he has a great partner that actually is the owner of the building that he's currently in, and they're both very interested in Hamlet and the future of Hamlet.
If I could, if council wants to maintain the lease, just to remind you, it needs to be 10 years or less, because otherwise that's to be treated like a sale of property. But anything less than that, you're free to lease without doing up that big process to whoever you think is appropriate.
Okay. I think it's certainly worth pursuing. I have no
Most
problem
certainly
with
do.
it.
It's a wonderful place, it's a wonderful location.
And we probably didn't close that stuff off.
No, we
No,
didn't.
we didn't.
We
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know
why
that to be 100%, but
I
I
do.
don't think we did that.
it didn't.
I think we closed off a couple windows on the far end side, but they were wondering who had closed off the ones on the back side. There was a couple vents there. I talked to Doc about it, and
It's got a beautiful balcony on it too, or not a balcony, but a porch out there, terrace.
yeah,
Facing the lakes. It'd be a beautiful place for a restaurant.
when I came here and initially was doing my tour, the Hamlet, the public works director took me around and showed me all these great places, and I immediately fell in love with the VFW, and I just seen like this great opportunity that could be, you know, restaurant slash growler or brewery, to where people could come and have dinner and then sit outside on the back porch, listen to live music, and be able to have a drink and just really be able to enjoy Hamlet. And that view from the back is breathtaking. So I think whoever is able to lease that is winning.
Yes. I spent a lot of time during the years
I
at the
think that was
VFW
the-
building. That's a nice building.
That was the city's intent, to do it as
Yeah.
a venue, a profit, so,
Yeah.
hey, 9 years and 11 months, sounds good to me.
I think, me too. I think it's very much pursued.
So
Well,
do
I
we
would
have a
like-
motion?
I would
Make a
like to make a motion that we pursue this opportunity and begin the process of drawing up a contract. And I guess you'll have to talk to him to determine what kind of term he's looking for. Yeah, you know what,
That's right, we essentially come up with a draft lease.
Right.
And hopefully have what they're willing to do for present something to council.
okay.
I
Before we-
second it.
Let me have,
Ms. Covington's motion.
I know you got a motion and a second, but I got a question.
Okay.
This being city property and owned by the city of Hamlet, would there be any difficulty or any problem with selling alcohol at the establishment?
Yeah, good question. We probably need to take a look at the city's alcohol policy. And the reason I say that is we'd be leasing, so it's a private restaurant, you know, they just have to get proper ABC permits. I don't think there's anything that would prohibit them from doing that from a building leased by the city. But we could check that policy we have about alcohol use, and if there is something that could be amended at the time. So, something we'll take a look at, but I don't think there's a roadblock per se.
Okay, well, that was my only question.
Well, I would think he would want to sell alcohol.
Well, sure he will, but whether they can or not, it's on city property, and city don't allow alcohol on their property. That's my question. But if there's no problem, I don't have a problem with it. I just didn't want them to, or us run into a problem later and say, oh, well, we forgot about that.
And it's a good question. There's not a legal prohibition like statewide or anything like that. And if we have a local ordinance or policy that needs tweaking, we'll bring that to council for consideration.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Uh,
Any opposed? All right, item number 13, DOT STIP project update.
So the Department of Transportation has allocated some money for the city through their statewide Strategic Transportation Improvements Program, or STIP, for 2 sidewalk projects and a possible bridge replacement. The first one is along East Main Street from South Bridges down to Highway 38, and that's where the bridge replacement would be, that 35 by 37 bridge Marks Creek runs under. And then the second one would be along Spring Street from Wiregrass to Highway 177, so this would run adjacent to Memorial Park. The project has right-of-way acquisition proposed for 2025, with construction beginning in 2026, potentially. This is just a closer look at the East Main Street one. You can see where it would begin. The sidewalk ends there at the intersection of East Main and South Bridges, so that's where they would pick it up and take it all the way down to the intersection with the light at 38.
On which
Is the
side of the
yellow line,
street?
yeah, is the yellow line the proposed sidewalk?
It is, Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay.
All right.
And this is a closer look at the Spring Street and Wiregrass one. So it would begin at the intersection there at Wiregrass and Williams and Spring, and then it would go down to the light there at 177.
So that would go past tennis court area.
Yes, that's correct.
And the bridge replacement on the East Main Street, is that part of this project too?
Yes, that's
How
correct.
much money are they talking about?
Go to the next one. So here's the cost estimates. The project cost would be split between DOT and the city, 80-20%.
Who
The
gets
project,
the 80?
the DOT is the 80.
Okay. Just want to make sure we don't get
Yes,
the fuzzy
ma'am.
end of the stick.
No. So the project has an estimated total cost of $4.5 million, and that's broken down there at that top table with construction, right-of-way, and utilities. All construction would be conducted through DOT, and then upon completion of the project, it would be turned over to the city for maintenance from there. Myself and the city manager have spoken with the contacts at DOT and confirmed that the project can be phased, or we could even choose to move forward with one of the projects and not move forward with the other. So if you chose to move forward with Spring Street, you don't have to move forward with East Main, or vice versa. And the table below shows the cost estimate to the city, and this would also be broken down between fiscal years with the totals at the bottom there.
The East Main project obviously is the biggest part of this because of the bridge replacement. Is East Main a city street? Or is it a state street?
They're both DOT streets. That's why they're DOT projects. If it's a DOT project, it's their road.
Well, why would we be sharing the cost of a bridge replacement in a DOT street?
It's normal, from my experience, that if you have a DOT road that is in city limits. If they propose the project and the city is amicable to it, then they would cover 80%, and we would cover 20%. Now, if we put a project on the STIP, from my experience, and say there's a DOT road that we know of, and, you know, our assistant city manager is working with the rural planning organization and DOT, and we say, hey, we want to put this sidewalk on Main Street, and it's the same project, but we were the ones that asked them to do it, then that cost is reversed. So we would take on 80% of it, and they would take on 20% of it. I know this project has been brought to council previously, I think a year or two ago, and I believe the previous city manager had pushed it to FY 25-26 for right-of-way acquisition. And we got an update on this by contacting DOT. It kind of came out of nowhere because I was like, hey, what projects do we have going on the STIP? And there wasn't really a good understanding of where it was. And then through some research, we found out that there actually was this project that just got, the can got kicked down to the road to 25-26. So just wanted to make sure we bring it in front of council as soon as possible, show them the cost of doing business, and then also, you know, again, seeing if this is a project that we want to do all part of or phased going forward, because the cost of right-of-way would be coming up fairly quickly, which if we did both of them would be at around approximately $120,000. We did just the East Main, it would be $80,000. Just Spring Street would be $40,000.
Why did they decide to replace the bridge?
It's not really a bridge.
Why? I mean, that's the bulk of the construction. The construction is $2.9 million on that segment. The construction on the segment on Spring Street is $800,000. So you consider that the walk on Spring Street is shorter. The bulk of the cost is down there on the bridge. And so what is the purpose of the bridge replacement?
I do not have a good answer for you at this time.
Well, I know that the state, you know, has basically, and we all know it because you drive down a road and it says road closed, bridge construction, and they're replacing bridges everywhere. And they're replacing them because they're saying that they're damaged or they're not what they need to be. So I'm just curious why they would toss a bridge in with this. Nobody paid the cost of replacing those other bridges except DOT. That wasn't a cost share.
I can make an assumption, but it wouldn't do any good in this situation. But what I do know, and Robert, you know, could give the exact time, but bridges get analyzed, I think, on an annual or biannual basis, and that's every bridge. So if I was to make an assumption, I would say that there was probably analysis done that said this bridge will have to be replaced in the future, and that was part of what got this project onto the STIP.
Wonder what will happen if we don't do the project. They gonna fix the bridge anyhow? If it's an optional project, it's obviously not a critical bridge issue. That's what I'm saying. It just, if it's optional, you know, and we don't do it, then is the bridge situation critical enough for them to come in and replace a bridge on their own property, a DOT street? Maybe you can ask that or find out what the bridge analysis is. I don't know. If they analyze a bridge every year, I'd be shocked.
I have the assistant city manager work on that. I think she's been doing a great job on this and getting the facts for us. So
Yeah.
I'll continue to have her push on it and see if she can dig a little deeper and find out the reasoning behind the bridge replacement.
I know, I guess, does the DOT still meet down at the COG on a regular basis? Yeah, because that was the transportation. Well, because usually the engineers down there, when we had our meetings on the transportation board, and you could ask the engineer these questions.
I think a catchphrase there, be Tony, would be after the DOT finishes, then they turn it over to city for future maintenance. That'd be a huge cost if something happened there.
I don't think the bridge is actually gonna be turned over to the city.
No, the bridge would, and the sidewalks would.
Sidewalks.
Within the right of way, we would take over responsibility of
Well,
those.
personally, I would go with the Spring Street project, and the reason I say that is because we have those apartments out there, and a lot of people walk back and forth to Dollar General, and I've seen them on the side of the road and everywhere else, so.
And we
That
also
would-
have a gym there, and a
Yes.
soccer field, and a baseball
Yeah.
field, and
But they-
everything. There's a lot of
They walk a lot
pedestrian
from those
traffic.
apartments to Dollar General, so.
Well, you see, when they come by now, it's got a dangerous situation there at the tennis courts, the way it has fallen down. And it's safety to people trying to walk, and it's very, very unsafe for them. So I would take it too with the Spring Street.
What about the tennis courts and the parking lot at Memorial Park? Would that take up some of that?
It shouldn't now.
Are you asking if the tennis courts are
Sidewalk's
within
gotta
the
go
right of way?
Somewhere.
They're gonna go within the right of way. I don't think that, I mean, we can find out, but I highly doubt that those tennis courts are sitting in the right of way.
Or the parking lot?
No.
Because we already have little parking.
Yeah, and they've also assured us in their plan that it wouldn't disrupt anything going on at Memorial Park while they were doing construction, or they would try their best not to.
And that is on the tennis court side of the street, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but there was some discussion recently about moving the tennis courts and tearing all that out and making a parking lot. Well, that should be done before the sidewalk is put in, because that could interfere with the construction or the demolition of the tennis courts, or making a new parking lot and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we did discuss it.
And,
And not really, they would probably have to build a wall. They're gonna have to do some kind of wall or something.
well, yeah, sure, but,
It would probably suffice a parking lot or whatever, but I don't think we're actually gonna move the tennis court.
well, if they're gonna make a parking lot, they're gonna have to put them somewhere else. Because, I mean, they ain't got no room nowhere else, that's it.
Yeah,
They don't own the property across the street.
well, I mean, I was just thinking, why not take that hill out and make more parking up towards the gym and the bathroom?
That's a good
You've
idea,
got
Tony.
steps there anyway, so why couldn't you take that hill out and make you more parking there?
Well, we need that parking too,
Okay, we're getting a little off.
yeah.
Can I add one thing
I think
there?
we'll just
No.
put that on pause.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
When it comes to expanding that parking lot, this one, food for thought for council. I just did a parking lot project. And for us, the cost of doing business for a project like that it's gonna creep up on $1 million. If we were to engineer and put in curb gutter, drainage, asphalt, and that's from, recent experience of me just creating a 55-car parking lot that costs around $500,000. With this one being about double the size, I'm thinking about double the cost.
I think when we start talking about parking lot, and I'm not pursuing the conversation because I know it's not relevant to this STIP project, but we need to talk to the school system about the property that we're currently parking on and expanding that area with some kind of lease situation or agreement to use, letting us use it, schools use it whenever it's necessary. We use it when we've got a ball game up there.
Absolutely.
That's the
So do I have a motion to approve, deny, or modify the project?
Well, I think the only project in this particular situation that we can even afford to look at is Spring Street. And I do think that would be a tremendous benefit to that area.
I do too.
So are you making a motion?
I make a motion that we entertain the option of Spring Street for the STIP project and put the other one on hold.
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item number 14, consideration of Richmond County interlocal agreement and resolution.
Yes, so Wade and Irene Lewis have a parcel located in the ETJ area of Perry Williams Road. You should have a map of it in your packet there. This has split zoning jurisdiction between the city and the county. Currently, the city has about 6% zoning jurisdiction there, and the county has the other 94%. So the property owners are requesting that we give development regulations to the county. This is similar to something that happened a few months ago with Over the Tracks LLC and Being Investments.
I recommend we grant their request.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, Women's History Month proclamation.
Okay, all right. Women's History Month. Whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our nation in countless recorded and unrecorded ways, and whereas women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social roles in every sphere of life by constituting a significant portion of the labor force, working inside and outside of the home. And whereas women are particularly important in the establishment of early charitable, philanthropic, and cultural institutions in our nation, and whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background served as early leaders in the forefront of every major progressive social change movement which created a more fair and just society for all. And whereas, despite these contributions, the role of women has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in literature, teaching, and study of history. Now, therefore, do I, Amy Gwynn, Mayor of the City of Hamlet, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim March 2025 as Women's History Month.
Okay. Then the National Vietnam War Veterans Day proclamation. Whereas the Vietnam War, which began as the Second Indochina War, was a 20-year military conflict that took place in the Southeast Asian country of Vietnam that started in 1955 as a war between communist North Vietnam and non-communist South Vietnam. And whereas the United States of America became involved in 1962 in an advisory capacity supporting South Vietnam, as the U.S. government feared the defeat of South Vietnam would lead to the spread of communism through Southeast Asia. And whereas 3 years later, U.S. troops were deployed to officially support the South Vietnamese effort, by 1969, 540,000 U.S. service members were in country, the highest number of America's soldiers during the war. And whereas on January 27, 1973, the signing of the Paris Peace Accords brought an end to the war, the withdrawal of American troops commenced, as did the release of American prisoners held by North Vietnam. 2 months later, on March 29, the last service members left the region. And whereas, all told, more than 9 million Americans served during the Vietnam War era, including more than 2.7 million in Southeast Asia. American losses were significant. 58,260 U.S. service members lost their lives, 1,302 from North Carolina, 38 of which are still missing and unaccounted for. And whereas upon returning home from the war, many service members were not welcomed back as honorable patriots who dutifully answered our nation's call for military service. Many were criticized for their involvement in a war which was unpopular with many of their fellow Americans here at home. And whereas many states, including North Carolina, have observed March 29th, the date of the last service member pullout from South Vietnam, as National Vietnam War Veterans Day, in honor of the men and women who served in the United States military during the Vietnam War era. In 2017, Congress recognized the date as an official day of remembrance. Now, therefore, I, Amy Gwynn, Mayor of Hamlet, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim March 29th, 2025 as National Vietnam War Veterans Day. Item 17, Code Review Phase 1.
Council, as we talked about last board meeting, and we made a motion that we start going through our code, doing a review. We do have books in front of all of you. I'm asking that you go through the first 4 chapters. I'm also asking that the police and code enforcement look through it, make any me, I'll start collecting them, and putting together a report from those to where we can try to update our code with that need. And Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, 1950s? 40s was the last time it was updated, so, it's important that we do this and bring it up to,
Up to what?
This century.
That was the year I was born, John.
All right, on to city manager's report.
All right, first thing, I do have a request from Michelle Pressler, Community Engagement Director. She just wanted to give you guys an update on one thing, so I said she could take a little bit of my time real quick.
I'll be quick. As you all know, the Hamlet Historic Depot, Inc. Was awarded a grant to paint the static display in Main Street Park. The static display consists of the 1114 locomotive and the caboose. So on behalf of the nonprofit, I'm here to invite mayor, council, city staff, and the public to a ribbon cutting ceremony to unveil the paint job on the static display on April the 11th at 5:30 p.m. in Main Street Park. So please mark your calendars.
That same day you're having,
We'll have food trucks that day and a cruise in.
And what?
cruising.
Cruise
Okay.
in. So bring your cars and stay for the ribbon cutting.
Well, that'd be good.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so again, I just wanted to thank admin and staff. I've been here for just a little bit over a month now, and I just see how amazing they are and everything that they do on a daily, and it is impressive, especially within the administrative staff front. I've been running them through it, and they're keeping up, and I'm just really proud of them. So, again, thanks to both admin and all staff. Quick update, the poles for the lights at Memorial Park, they're in the process of going up now. They should be complete in the next week or so. The $4.9 million grant that I talked about in the budget retreat that we're looking to get right now, we're looking at using that grant for several things. One, to fix the issue that we have with fire flow going out to Global Packaging. We believe putting a 12-inch pipe that fills about a half-mile gap out there would not only fix the issue for Global Packaging, but also if we were to sell that acreage across the street from there, the 65 acres, along with the 40 acres that they're in the process of purchasing now, we would be able to extend over that way to support them as well. We're also looking at using that grant for the Hamlet, Raleigh, and Rollins Street sewer updates, what I brought to, the Public Works Director brought during the budget retreat. Have either failed or in critical condition. And the last portions of that we would look to reserving for the wastewater treatment plant and the water treatment plant. So just a quick update, we do not have the 4.9 million yet, but there is a very, very high likelihood that we will get it, and it would come in good use to fix some of these issues that we have within the city. If we are able to get this, I'll bring it back to council. The water treatment plant will be going out to we'll be having a pre-bid on pre-bid meeting on 2 April, and then we'll actually go out for bid 16 April. From there, we'll bring contracts to council, and hopefully we start breaking ground on the water treatment plant no later than August, which again has about 15 to 18 months to build out. Still working on the wastewater treatment plant permit. It's been in limbo for a while, and I did speak to LKC, and they still just asked us to hold on, and they were working the issue. We did receive a $300,000 AI AIA grant to conduct an assessment for all of our sewer and water system. They will essentially map it out, analyze the criticality of it, and then create a CIP for that. It's $150,000 for wastewater, $150,000 for water. I'm currently looking at our fee schedule and still working on the budget. That's taking up a lot of my time, but we're expecting to have that budget for you all to review in early April. And then tentatively, just tentatively, because we've gotten this one before and it got pushed to the right, our VoIP phones are to be installed 17 March 2025. Any questions? That's all I have.
When you come up with a water plant, how the personnel had retirees, how are we going about getting certified level 4 or whatever it takes to run our departments?
Well, you mean, Councilmember Sellers, do you mean for the water treatment facility?
Yes, water treatment facilities.
We did actually find somebody to replace one, and we actually had somebody pass the test, and we have another person going to test. The two that recently passed and we hired are both the level Cs, and the one that is going to test in May is going for the level A, which is the ORS that we need to run the plant. So we have been actively engaged in coming up with options. I went as far as having my HR reach out to Viola, which is a contract company for water and sewer, to see what the cost of business is if we want a project.
And to see that it doesn't, that we don't get in that situation again.
Right.
Keep somebody qualified.
But I think the best fix to this is when it comes to budget season, we're gonna be looking at options to create an entry-level position. Instead of having 4 people at wastewater, water treatment facility, we would have 5. So that way, we do have that extra person that is on standby. Maybe it's a part-time position, maybe it's a full-time position. But I think that we have to come up with options and have personnel and reserves, because just like every municipality, there's one thing that is for sure, and that's turnover.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Martin?
Well, as usual, it's baseball season. And I'm talking about the American Legion team getting ready to start their Legion season in 2025, on May the 23rd. But my main concern right now is where are we at with Mitchell Hodges and Hodges Landscaping? Each year, we have been getting Hodges Landscaping to come up there, prepare the field. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into preparing the field, not just go there and fill in holes, but fertilizing and seeding, and I don't know, there's just a lot of things that go in. And he's had a proposal that he gave to the city manager, and I think Ms. Covington wanted a breakdown. I'm just wondering, has that been talked about, or has she been
Followed up
made
with.
aware of the breakdown, and where are we at? We need to get moving on it. I mean, we're running out of time. We got time, but we need to get in high gear now. It's getting time to start preparing, and it takes a while to prepare a field. You can't just do it in 2 days. I mean, we got to get moving on this.
No, well, they've got to start doing pre-emergence within the next 2 weeks.
That's what I'm talking about, and we hadn't said nothing about it. We don't know if Hodges, he needs to know so he can start ordering the chemicals and stuff that he has to have and stuff like that.
So Chip
where are we?
Gordon was going to follow up with Mr. Hodges, right?
Ma'am?
Chip Gordon was going to follow up with that quote to get him to break it down?
Well, we already got it.
We did?
Yeah.
Broken down?
Yeah.
While he's looking for that, my suggestion would be to do it for a year basis, because I think we need to put it out for a bid, not saying that he's doing
We're the
anything wrong.
one in the county. I mean, we don't have several landscaping companies, we ain't got but one, that's
There's
obvious.
quite a few landscape companies. I'm not sure they can do
Well,
what
I'm
you're
talking
talking
about Richmond County.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather do business with
Oh,
Richmond
yeah, I
County
would too.
or Hamlet or Richmond County. I ain't looking to go outside.
Exactly, but I mean, if we're not careful, somebody could just overcharge us,
Well, possible.
you know?
Is
He's
the
looking after the
the
city.
17, I think the original, what Chip told us was that Mitchell had said he could do the maintenance up there for a year for $17,000, and I was asking for a breakdown on that. And I evidently Chip got the original bid, and Mitchell may have recontacted him, and
Well, he
Chip
got the
hadn't said.
bid and broke it down because you requested it, and I gave it to the city manager.
Yeah, so maybe it was confusion on my part, but I was under the assumption that what was passed was the $3,000 to do the ball pins, and that we had already designated $20,000 in the FY 24-25, which is, or I'm sorry, $17,000, which is typical maintenance, and that we were looking at that second part of what Chip was asking for to go into the 25-26 budget season.
Yeah, that's what I didn't understand. And, you know, we may already have money in there for them for this year, because what they're gonna do now falls in
somebody's
this
got to
year's budget.
authorize.
No, the 17, I think, is for next year's budget.
Well-
Let me check it, and I'll send an email to council tomorrow on it.
Okay.
Because I don't know I know that there was money approved, and I think it was around $17,000 last year for specifically that, and I don't know what has
Well, that
been
was last
expended or where we're at with that, but I do know that, or again, the way that I believed it is that we weren't asking for an extra 17 to 20,000 this year. We were just asking for the budget amendment on 3,000, and then that we would be asking for another 17,000 to be allocated in the upcoming FY.
Okay, just let us know. Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it's sort of confusing, but yeah, I reckon it does. All I know is we need to get started on the ball field ASAP.
I agree with you, brother.
So, since we're in this situation, can I get a motion to allow me to approve the contract for the ball fields for the amount necessary, not to exceed?
I make a motion that you have the authority to check into that.
And not to exceed the amount that he proposed, which is around 17,000.
Yeah.
But again, I believe that money is already allocated in this
It's
current
allocated
FY. Let me do some homework, and I'll send an email to council on it.
I think it must be, because he's not
Yeah.
he's not requesting 17,000 to treat the fields before the season.
Before the season.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, is that all, Mr. Martin?
I'd just like to thank all the city employees for coming. It's nice to see you here, because if we have any questions, we can answer it here in open session. We won't have to get any confusion about telephone calls or who said what, John shot who. And I'd also like to thank the attendees to come in. Thank you very much, Mr. Wallace. You're just very faithful to support us in our meetings. Thank you very much. Madam Mayor, that's all I have to say.
All right. Mr. Sellers? Mr. Stewart?
Thank you to all the employees. I see the directors here, employees. Thank you so much. It means a lot to see your face here at the meetings, and I appreciate that. I want to say to the manager and the assistant manager, the decks look so good. Thank you for those. I love the way you all are meshing and team working, even in our budget sessions. Everybody, finance, HR, everybody took a stance. Everybody was on the team, and I'm loving that. I'm loving that teamwork. So thank you so much for that. And lastly, Women's History Month. Thank you for your leadership, your dedication, your service, from mayor to Mayor Pro Tem to our assistant mayor, our clerk. We got several department heads here, Michelle and Amanda. We got HR and finance here. So in the words of Beyonce, who runs the world? Thank y'all so much. In Women's History Month, it's a pleasure to serve and to work with all of you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Cluess.
First of all, I'd like to thank all our veterans, whether they served in Vietnam or served anywhere. I appreciate all our veterans. Because of you, we live in a safe country, and we can go to bed at night and we can sleep safe. So thank all our veterans. I know it's Vietnam Veteran Day, and I've heard stories. I've worked with a bunch of Vietnam vets, and I've heard stories. But thank you. Also, I think Friday's a holiday. A very important person was born Friday. It was me.
Oh.
So that's a holiday. Y'all go ahead and take off and see what happens.
We'll declare it a holiday for your benefit.
But I thank all our department heads coming. I appreciate all the work that you do. Lots of times you don't get the thanks that maybe you deserve, but we do appreciate your hard work. Last, John, you give us this book to review. Do we get overtime pay for that? That's all I have,
right.
Mayor.
If you approve it in the budget.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Covington.
I want to echo Tony's sentiments about the veterans. I think that's something we don't say often enough, and we make an effort. We're doing a lot better than we have in the past, but they are primarily responsible for the fact, in large part, that we can live the way we live in this country. And again, I've always said that Hamlet has the greatest city employees of any city in this county. And I still believe it, and I see us, even when we knock heads, when we come together in a meeting or doing what we have to, such as when you get in a budget and there's a finite amount of money, everybody wants their projects, but you give it a little, you get a little, and we always get it worked out to the benefit of the citizens, and I appreciate all that you do. And Maurice, I'm touched with your sentimentality about what women contribute to this world, and I applaud you for recognizing what Beyonce said.
Is that it?
Yep.
All right. Can I have a motion to go into closed session for attorney-client privilege and personnel?
So moved.
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.